Soulaf, thank you. Thank you
Gino.
for accepting the invitation and being here today.
Sure, my pleasure.
And maybe we can start. Well, I'm going to invite you to introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And why is this topic of masculinity, toxic versus healthy, why is it so interesting to you? Why dear to your heart?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for inviting me. And what do I do? Actually, I wear several hats in my professional life. So I'm a consultant, I'm a coach, coach working with leaders and teams. And I come with a background in human resources mainly. Why masculinity is an important topic, of course. I work a lot with gentlemen, and I have a husband and an amazing boy who's 20 years old. And of course, I have some very good mentors who are gents as well. So that topic is of an interest, especially at those times.
And you said that you worked in human resources in an organization then, or?
Yeah, I come with corporate experience. I've been in corporate for quite some long time, 20 years. And I've worked within organizations. I worked outside organizations as a consultant, and very much involved in the corporate world and life. Yeah.
Okay.
That is
so
full
you can talk
of,
from that background too.
Yeah, that is full of masculinity. So
yeah, it's full of men.
Full of men.
I don't know whether it's always full of masculinity, but we'll talk about it later. But yeah, definitely full of men. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
If you would give your definition of, maybe start with toxic masculinity, because there's a lot of talk about toxic masculinity these days. What would it be?
Well,
how would you define it?
Yeah, I think it's not giving the right impression about the role of men and who they really are. So they tend to step into the dominance part, into the controlling, maybe into the power, rather than come from a space of support and all the other great things that they can do. So by using their muscles, believing that they can do because they just can.
Yeah, standing in their power.
Standing in their power. Yeah. I think this is where it might be misunderstood. And this comes, of course, from
where does it come from?
It comes from a lot of history. Many years back, we're aware that men's role tend to be hunters. They tend to be the ones who go out there, who provides, who protects, and things changed down the line, right? Roles has changed, evolved. Hence, there's still a lot of social norms, a lot of expectations, a lot of stereotyping that you should come across as strong, you should come across as powerful, as dominant, as the one who enforces stuff to make things happen, rather than come from a place of maybe more warmth and more wiser,
and heart connectedness. Wiser,
and I like heart connectedness.
And why do you use the word wise? Because it's an interesting. I find it an interesting word.
Well, I see men's role as a container, as support, as direction. They're strategists. They can see, they can read maps, they can strategize, they can think what is required. They're very much into the logic aspect that has a lot of power, of course.
Part,
And I think that by itself is powerful without them really saying that or showing it in their behaviors. So
so wisdom comes from this ability to contain, ability to give direction.
Ability to strategize and to contain and to get others grounded in a way. They come across with that energy.
Beautiful. And when you said history is not in the favor of men or masculinity, how do you see this?
Um, over generations, we've learned, me seeing my grandparent, my grandfather, my father coming. I mean, they have expected roles. They're expected to bring the money, provide the food, do all the necessary for your shelter, clothing, put you in good schools, education. So they're the providers, the hunters. They're supposed to protect you. So this kind of moved with them, and to be that out there, they should not be vulnerable. They should show their strength and their health, and this is where success comes to them. If they are not that,
and recognition, right?
And
That's
recognition,
how they got recognition,
of course,
from
and achievements. They're known,
their
and
community,
and success. So all these things come with a lot of go-getting, go-getters, goal-oriented, achieving, shooting, hunting.
So a lot of that behavior is actually reflected in today's corporate world, then.
Yes,
where you have, like, as you said, the drive to provide, the drive to structure.
Yeah.
But if they take it too far or take it out of context, which I see a lot in men these days, or in management and men in leadership positions, is they just feel too responsible, or
they decide. They're the ones who have to decide and take those tough decisions. They're the ones who either executes or supervise execution. So very much into the doing and results.
Result-oriented,
and
solving
problems.
That's the words I would put to it.
Absolutely. Troubleshooting.
And it's, from my point of view, and feel free to challenge me, Soulaf, it's less and less needed. It's less and less accurate, this way of managing and organizing things. What's your look on it?
I think it is still required. However, the roles have evolved with time. So earlier we did mention throughout history, like, this is their role, where as women stays at home, nurture children, prepare food, farm the fruits from the farm, and cooking, preparing, maybe planning, for day and night and week and month and seasons. So her role is more of a nurturer and care giver. Whereas now roles have changed quite
and in which way?
A lot. The woman also stepped into the working space, and she's also, like, given roles of decision making, making things happen, managing, leading. And her role remained to be the same at home. So there has been a lot added to her plate. Men are expected to focus outside. Now women are doing the out and the in work. And a lot of men still believe that, supporting at home is not part of their responsibility. And I not necessarily mean ironing and cooking and the housework, even taking care of the children, even participating in their activities, and the social events. They still believe that it's not part of what they're supposed to do. And what's happening is their focus is only on providing, and the women are also providing. So they're not expecting that role from the men anymore. They're expecting a different role.
Yeah. And what are the expectations of women towards men today? Could you?
It's really, me working again in corporate, working a lot with individuals in corporate, outside corporate, whoever is looking to grow their skills.
As a coach, then?
As a coach, yes. Women are looking for partners, for real partners.
What does it mean to be a real partner from a women's perspective?
Someone that you can share with. So a friend. Someone that you can, brainstorm with, someone who you can take decisions together on whatever case. Someone that can maybe help in cooking and preparing meals to, accommodate some guests. Maybe to share some shopping, maybe online, or to do some of the work. So it's really depending on where they are in their lives and what is their priority. So if they don't have kids, maybe their priority is to travel together.
Yeah. So when I feel into what you're saying now, the word that comes to mind is it's more an equal relationship, where it used to be from the male provider being more, expected to be more dominant and directional. Women expect men to be now more of an equal person that stands next to them, helps them in their growth, but is also sort of independent.
Yeah, and I like what you've said, Gino. I mean, helping in growth. Like anytime I attend any workshop, honestly, the average of men, the ratio is somewhere like, 1-2 men against 9-10 ladies. And I think women had invested lately a lot in their growth, in their personal growth, in their skills, in their education. And men are slower in that aspect for whatever reason.
And how come, you think? What does it have to do with?
I think it has to be with the toxic or the wrong understanding of like, I know it all. It's a shame to go to these workshops because they are vulnerable, and I'm expected to be strong and not share my emotions. It's too risky
to know it all.
Know it all.
Sort of like,
and it's risky to be exposed.
No. Yeah, I can see that. And I hear from, also from my retreats or webinars, it definitely is when I hear from colleagues or female colleagues running programs for women sign up way earlier, way faster than men. Yeah. And what I also hear, because I was having a conversation with a brother here in Dubai this week who he's in the same line of work. And he acknowledged that actually our best marketing people still are women, because as if men need this nudge or need this invitation from their partner or from others. There's something about permission too, as if they, and it's as if they need permission from someone to just go to it. And it brings me to this thought of my take on men, female is, I'm coming more from the angle of masculinity, femininity, more energies that we both have in us. But what I see or what I sense is a lot of men these days have, and it's going to be maybe hard what I'm going to say, but I'm really standing behind
go for it.
Allowing myself not to go for it, is they have not developed beyond the boys' development stage. And a lot of what I hear a lot of women saying is like, I have 3 kids plus a husband at home. It's like, I need to take care of 4 kids. Yeah. And even men in executive positions, sometimes when they're being challenged or when they're being called upon their accountability, they really go back to that boyish energy where I go like, guys,
I'm attacked.
Yeah. Is that something you recognize? It's like,
of course, I like what you're saying.
How is it then from your point of view, this boyish energy? How would you describe it?
Well, I mean, I'm not against having that aspect. However, that boy was shut down at this particular stage in his life for being requested to act and say things that is way beyond his age. So anytime he cries or he demands something, he's hit on his head, be a man. Yeah, it's shameful to, to cry or show your vulnerability. It's not proper.
It's a norm. Yeah?
It's a norm.
Man, real
men don't cry.
Yeah. Real men do, but real boys don't cry.
Real boys. Things like that.
No. That's so normative.
You protect your sister. She's not allowed to go on her own. So you're the one, she cannot protect herself. So you're the one who's supposed to be always in the defending front. So all these are being taken with them, and I think they were not given, as you said, the permission to really express their emotions and say, it's hurtful, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm hurt, rather than swallow all of this and turning a lot of incidents to either traumas or either bad experiences or wounds that they did not, poor thing, they did not know or had the chance to heal.
Or were not allowed to just let them be.
Yeah, they were not allowed.
And my take on it is, because there's a link for me in this research that I'm looking into, and the research, what it says now is actually a boy is born 7 times more sensitive than a girl. That is why a man could not give childbirth, for instance, because he would literally die, like physically and from the pain. But imagine if this were true. So a boy, I'll repeat it, a boy is born 7 times more sensitive than a girl. But look at how we raise our boys. Look at how we boys and men were raised with these messages of be a man, toughen up, you don't cry.
Yeah.
While our need or our actually predisposition of being more sensitive is there and is being shut down. Or so I meet a lot of men. I was hosting a men's circle last night, and one of those men also said, like, for me, it's like I cannot get out of my head. And when he was sharing something very vulnerable, and I was asking, like, okay, but in those moments where you feel like you're losing control and your head wants even more control and you start going after this control direction, toxicity, how does your body react? He looked at me and he just looked at me and said, like, I don't know. I'm not aware of what is happening. And this is what I see a lot of men today, is like they're as if their body is a different...
detached.
It's definitely detached, as if it's a different thing from
entity.
Their head.
It's a different entity. Yeah.
And a lot of men believe that it's their head that steers their body.
Yeah.
And I'm a believer of, no, it's the other way around.
True.
It's like it's your nervous system.
Yes.
It's your nervous system that knows what's best for you. It's not your brain.
Absolutely.
For a lot of men, they just look at it, or they don't believe it. They just go like, no.
Yeah. They haven't, unfortunately, learned how to lean into the intelligence of their bodies or their soul.
Well, and for me, if I may interrupt you there, they don't have to learn it. They just have to
access
reconnect. It. There you go.
And
access, because the knowledge and the wisdom is there.
Yeah.
But because they were more sensitive and they had to unlearn it, it's the head's become a defense mechanism.
True. And the instinct, their instinct, back to you said by nature they know. When they're hunters, they would sense if there's any danger around them.
Absolutely.
Right?
They would just
and it's not only the head, it's a lot more. Their senses, as you said, their body's sensation, but they kind of shut all the systems because they were told that, they're men. And for me, that's scary. You asked me, like, how would they act or react when they're cornered? I think they tend to be less vulnerable. They tend to go in rounds and play politics. They tend to use power, so it turns to a lot of power fights. Yeah. And honestly, once it's a power fight, you reach nowhere.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful example, because for me, what happens there is once a man is cornered, their nervous system goes haywire and goes like, oh, danger, danger. And their brain gets into this fight, flight, or freeze mechanism.
True.
And then the toxicity, which then the dominance that they exercise, is actually a fight-flight mechanism.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not connected anymore to what is happening.
Yeah.
Because their whole nervous system is on haywire and goes like, we need to get out of here, or we need to find safety.
Yeah. So the wiring the programming is done this way.
Yeah.
Somehow.
But the program does not fit.
It needs an update. It's
an
old program.
Control-Alt-Delete. We need to start reprogramming.
Absolutely.
No. Yeah. But and the reprogram for me is actually, it's reconnect men to their body.
Yes, to their true, authentic self, to their instinct, to their being.
Yeah.
And I think they will need to give themselves permission.
It's the ultimate permission lies with the self. Oh.
And no one else.
No. And their mom cannot give it. They should not look for it in their partner. But yeah, give themselves permission to
evolve.
To evolve, to even just to be. To not do.
Yeah.
To just spend time with themselves, because that's what men need to do to recharge, and just allow themselves not to do anything.
Yeah. I love what you're saying.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I've seen leaders who kind of are going to that space, are stepping into their real manhood in such a graceful and honor way. So they do express their emotions. They do become vulnerable. They give themselves permission, and for some reason, whoever is witnessing those moments will really feel their power and strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're in their power.
Because they're in their power, rather than them shouting or screaming or, demanding stuff. And I mean, it's a shame, but honestly, when they go to that power game, you really see that insecure little boy inside them, who wants to either defend or
compensate.
Or compensate or protect, whatever. And they did not learn to do it differently or better.
No, and a lot of men, they also don't know, once they have the awareness, because not all men have the awareness yet, or are not there, that toxicity doesn't work. But I feel, and I meet a lot of men, and I was one of them, that once you have that awareness and you want to do it different, there's not a lot, or back when I started on my awareness journey, there were not a lot of mentors out there. There were not a lot of guidelines out there. And it's different for women, I think. Women emancipation started decades ago.
Yeah.
But the emancipation of men, as if it still needs to start, or
interesting. I mean, you took me back, Gino, to 12, 13 years back, when I used to work in corporate, and I used to be a secretary of a board. 12 of them were men. I was the only woman attending those board meetings as a secretary of the board. And the secretary role back then was to really present the cases, go back, take those decisions, go back into implementation, and then report back with other new issues. So I remember that I do a lot of preparation. It's once a month, and I used to come very enthusiastic about, all the things, and just talk them through the points, take the decisions, listen to the conversations. And I used to feel horrible, not any one of them turning to me, asking me, like, what do you think, Soulaf? And then this is when I started the journey of learning about men. So I got myself a gender intelligence coach.
Do they exist?
They did exist. He's from the US. And he told me, Soulaf, you know what? Men, they don't ask ladies not to embarrass them. So if you have something, you have to step in and just say what you have. And I say,
to do it out of courtesy. Is that what he was trying to say? Or
he was saying that just shoot. Don't wait for permission. They're not going to ask you. If you know or you want something, just ask for it. They don't ask because they don't want to embarrass you. Maybe you don't have anything to say. So just that information, learning about that small thing, it did a huge difference in how the dynamics. The dynamics of the meeting has gone. So I used to ask more. I used to say what I want. I used to, clearly request, claim, rather than just be reactive and wait until someone have the courtesy to ask me. And I used to understand also the difference between raising my girl, and raising my boy is a completely different way as well. So he helped me in my communication with my son. And I understood that it's not because they are bad creatures, it's because they are just wired differently. and I needed
Venus and Mars, right? Isn't it
Yes,
yeah.
he used to be the CEO of Mars and Venus. Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
So that was the start of really learning and being curious how the men tend to communicate, ask, learning about love languages, how each one expressed differently, how they need to go to their caves and for the women to leave them in peace, to allow them to, regenerate and come back.
Yeah.
So it gave me context and awareness, as you said. And that made a whole difference for the dynamics of the relationship, whether professionally or on a personal level.
Because it's true. I think we're wired differently. And then masculine and feminine energy is different. And a lot of females or people that would identify as a woman have in general more female energy than masculine energy, and they are different. But it's not an either or, right?
No,
it's more of a spectrum.
It is.
Each and every one of us is on that spectrum.
Yeah. We're just different.
Yeah,
and difference is not bad.
no, absolutely not. Yeah. It's just enriching.
Yes,
but it's not always that easy to deal with it. Yeah. When you say like bringing up your daughter differently than your son, what would you say were the big differences, or what made you raise them in a different way?
I mean, with my boy, I think he appreciates being direct. So, and he wants someone to tell him what to do. So I literally need to tell him that you need to go brush your teeth, wash your face, have a shower. For my daughter, it's enough for her to go prepare yourself. So she knows what prepare means. With him, with my boy, I used to really need to be specific.
And is that personalities? Is that gender, or is it learned behavior?
I think it's gender. I think it's a lot of it is gender related, and maybe personality. I don't know. I only have one boy, one girl, so
you cannot compare.
But there was a difference in terms of the way I communicate to them, and I know, for example, for a fact, my son would need to go physically active. He has a lot of power that he needs to, testosterone, he needs to be in the football field or swimming pool. I know my daughter would rather have time to play piano, read stories, books, dance, so
be together.
Be with other girlfriends and talk. She used to love talking. If no one was with her, she literally put pillows and talk to them. So quite different. And there are a lot of other examples. I cannot remember many now.
No, but I have 3 kids, 2 boys, 2 older boys, and a younger princess, I always say.
Yes.
And I sense it's a different energy.
Yes.
But I sometimes where I have wondered on their in raising them, in their upbringing, because they're 19, 16, and 9, what my influence was on giving them opportunities or not to do X, Y, or Z. And what my influence as a parent was to push them into this, as you said before, the idea or norms that we have around this is the way you should raise a boy, this is the way you should raise a girl. And I'm actually looking forward to after their 200 hours of therapy, and I say that every child should get what their outcome is, or how they look at it from their point of view. Whether we give them a balanced education upbringing or not. Because we, as a parents, we steer. We steer towards our own expectations or longings and needs.
And I think being conscious about really asking for both of them, like, how does it feel for you? And allowing even the boy to express if he's bullied at school, if he's been mistreated, even that they kind of feel a bit conservative to share, and they feel like it's not right, so they would rather swallow it. So it's really giving them the safety to allow them to,
and there's a difference there. I see a difference between my daughter and my sons. Like my daughter, you could ask her a question or we're having dinner,
Yeah.
and she would just talk and
Yeah.
share. While, for instance, my oldest son, when he would hit a rough patch or he wouldn't feel well, he would come and ask me to go for a walk.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that is also more, I would say, the
Privacy.
masculine. Yeah, it's privacy. It's one-on-one.
Yeah.
It's taking your time to, structure your thoughts, but also do it during an activity.
True. Yeah, I love that.
it's,
I used to go with my son. I used to tell him, Ali, this day is a mom-son date. He used to look at me.
He goes like,
I have a weird mom. So we used to laugh. I said, "This is your time, to share and talk, and it's only me and you.
And
it's only me and you." And I say, you know what? It's okay to have weird mom. Everybody has a normal mom except you, so you're special.
Yeah.
And we used to I used to break the ice with him, to give him really the space to share, and then allow him to express.
And also in the allowing also is the element of allow yourself to take your time to express yourself.
True.
Like in the feminine energy, it comes more natural, also
absolutely.
more chaotic. While in the masculine energy, it's like, okay, let me just take my time to
reflect
feel into it, to reflect. That's more the link with what you called earlier, the rational, or the logical part.
Yeah, true. I think they process a lot before they open up.
Yeah. And also, and I think a man needs this space to just go like, okay, just give me some time.
Yeah, because they look at it as a problem, and for them, they need to solve a problem. They're into solutions, into troubleshooting, into decisions.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong, but I need my time, and then I'll come out when I'm ready.
Yeah, but that is also, but that's if I look at how do men network, or when do they call their friends? It's when they're having a problem they cannot solve. That's when they reach out. That's when they go like, okay, can you help me with this? Or and it reminds me of it's becoming a classic, but what we in our men's circles often talk about is this dynamic of like, but then my girlfriend or my partner or my wife just shares a story, and then halfway through we get into this fight because I'm offering her solutions, and it's actually teaching men is like,
just listen.
The feminine does not share that with you because they want a solution.
Absolutely.
They have the solution themselves, but because they want to be heard, because it's their way of sharing expressing care and attention also.
Absolutely.
And it's not only about them, but feel privileged when your partner comes to you and shows it's because it's a way of intimacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love what you said, Gino. It's this skill and element of emotional intelligence and social intelligence. One is knowing how to deal with your own emotions and not really get attached to the emotion, because a lot of, unfortunately, people don't get that. An emotion is just a messenger to give you information and then leave. We often tend to cling into the emotion and believe that it's our truth or our reality. And we get into more trouble because it is not there to stay. It's like a visitor. It comes with information and just leaves. So learning this, and then learning to manage our thought process. Our thoughts are also, there are a lot of assumptions. They're not reality. Knowing how to deal with those thoughts, our monkey mind. And then the empathetic part, where I see you and then I feel you, and then I know how does it feel, and then I kind of respect that and feel it, and just give you the space that you want, or acknowledge that feeling.
And in that respect, I always tell men, and correct me if I'm wrong, but actually our job when the feminine comes to us and just shares a problem or the emotions that she's sitting with, it's fairly easy. It's just staying present. Just stay present, provide holding and space for that feminine, and just at the end or halfway through, just go like, oh, I so love you, and please continue. It's like, and if you need something from me, tell me. But if not, I'm here to provide this container together with you to get rid of everything that's going on so that your brain or body does not explode.
Yeah. I
And
love
then
what
men
you're
look
saying.
at me and they go like, why would they do it? It's like, well,
Yeah.
but is that true? Is it that like the feminine longing for just sit with me and hear me out?
Absolutely. I think this is when I said in the beginning, the container.
Yeah.
The container does not provide solution. It just holds the space. And I think this is, again, part of the emotional intelligence and part of the awareness. And just being present, as you said, listening to them and maybe just asking, like, how can I support you? Or what do you expect from me? Or just really, my coach used to say, zip your mouth, Soulaf, and just be present and listen.
Yeah.
And not to offer solutions, as you said.
Definitely not unsolicited solutions.
Of course. And now where the toxicity comes from the toxic masculinity, when they belittle the emotions or the experience.
Yeah, but why would a man do this? Why would a masculine start belittling the feminine?
Back to an area that is maybe wounded, not healed, not knowing, not skilled enough. I think it is more of not being really skillful. So by him doing that, he's hoping, I think, to make it feel less trouble, but
to have it go away.
To have it go away. I mean, I'm sure he has good intentions, but the impact is really horrible.
Yeah, but and I think that's the sort of the curse or the pain for a lot of men, because I honestly believe that 99% of the men out there, they really have good intentions.
Of course,
yeah?
Yes.
The 1 or maybe 4% people we don't talk about, we see it on the daily news.
Yeah.
The men that derailed in their toxicity, we're not talking about them. But it's a lot of these reactions, social interactions, what you've been referring to as emotional intelligence so far, for me is based on insecurity or fear. Nothing more or less.
Yeah, a lot of
man
fear.
That starts belittling others is just because he cannot get control of the situation, or he feels like, oh, I'm not going to be good enough. And then we come back to trauma or childhood wounding.
And they don't know better.
Yes. And they don't have the skills.
They don't have the skills.
Sure,
absolutely.
Because they were brought up, or they choose for organizations that in which culture the black and whiteness, the binary thinking is just a given.
Yeah. Rejection, belittling, neglection, overpassing. So they kind of feel it, but they don't know how else to deal with it. So by just learning and being open about, like, I don't know, I need to find out how to become better.
But it's so hard for a man to be in a situation and say, like, I don't know. It's like, I need help.
Yeah.
It's like the end of the world to some of the men.
Yeah. It's a shame. We all need help all the time. And there's always space to become better and learn more and upskill. So the same way they go to gym to maintain their bodies, we need also to continue learning those things that unfortunately we don't learn at our homes, most of us, and we don't learn at schools. Or maybe now things are better than our days, but there's still a lot of attention required to learn about those things that are unspoken. They are very much felt.
Absolutely. They might not be aware of it.
The
body is sending signals.
And you know, Gino, the finding and the research, me working with also from the coach aspect with a lot of leaders, number one obstacle that is found with leaders is they are not aware.
Themselves.
Low self-awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact you put the mirror in front of them and help them realize the impact is huge.
Yeah.
And it's massive. And a lot of them would really stay with denial for a while. No, I did not mean that.
Denial or projection. Projecting it on others.
And we do say, there's a saying like, the way to hell is filled with good intentions. So I say intentions are great, but unfortunately they're not enough. Because people, by the end of the day, they need to see and they feel your impact by your behavior, body language, you know. So intentions are good, but there's much more work that is needed.
Yeah, let's
It's
talk
not
about
enough.
the work in a minute, because I also want to look forward and go like,
Sure.
well, how can we help ourselves? But how can we help all the men and women out there that struggle with the toxicity of each other? But before going there, I just had this feeling in our conversation that, how you experience the masculine in your world, which is more Middle East oriented than how I experience in Europe. There's not such big of a difference, because sometimes I get these questions like, oh, you do this men's circle in Dubai, does it work there, or is there openness there? And we have there's these books that also focus on like the influence of culture, and you also have international exposure, right? You've also worked in the UK and in Europe. How do you look at it? Is this challenge a universal challenge, or is there differences?
Well, I think there are a lot of common areas, common grounds between both, as you said, from the aspect of the stereotyping, from the aspect of the norms, relationship issues. Toxicity is the same everywhere. Culture might play an aspect in terms of the background of the families, what's accepted, what's not accepted. But I think there's a lot of common grounds that are similar in humanity in general, regardless the culture.
Challenge, not
culture does impact, but I think by now, and with the openness and the globalization, I think people are much more aware of the differences, and they're not scared to talk about it openly. So there are common things, and there are areas that are very much still cultural
influences on norms, and
and we get kind of trapped in them for some time, until you reach to a really high level of awareness and consciousness and decide, like, even though I'm brought this way, but I'm consciously choosing now not to.
It's no longer serving.
It's no longer serving, and we need to let go of these, and maybe for our own growth, for our own sake, and our own, thriving journey.
Yeah, and I like the idea that actually the gender challenge, or the masculine feminine challenge, is a global challenge, because it's also how we can bridge then between cultures and not only across genders, but also across
absolutely
borders and
across borders,
which is so important these days. So looking forward, we have a common understanding now on what the challenge is, what toxicity looks like. The masculine toxicity is the domination, the aggression. We haven't talked that much about the female toxicity, but what does it look like for you?
Female toxicity. Well, I think in a lot of aspects, maybe attachment. So also a lot of women, especially in relationships, they tend to be clingy and attached, rather than really filling their own cups before going into a relationship. My coach used to tell me, Soulaf, a man cannot make any woman happy.
We're not chocolate.
Yes, we're not ice creams.
No.
The woman needs to be happy on her own, and a good man can make her happier, and vice versa. A lot of men who do have injuries from their mother side or the femininity side, also no woman can fill or cure that wound. They will really need to go back and do healing work, and nothing wrong with that, and get over themselves.
Meet their little boy.
Get over that little boy, and become those really men and supporters that the other gender is looking for. So I think the work is more individual, inner work, and then the outer world is much easier. You'll attract the same thing that you're working on. So attachment might be a toxicity, gossip, not being able to manage your own emotions. So also emotional emotions. And I think John Gottman spoke about the 4 toxicity in his books. So blaming, contempt, criticizing, and they're stonewalling. So these are done by both genders. However, the issues that I find with women is very much when they expect too much and they're too much demanding rather than dealing with their own selves.
And being indirect about it. Because the feminine, for me, the toxic form of the feminine energy is manipulation. It's the gossiping, it's the influencing, it's trying to get what they...
And expressing their emotions in a healthy manner and speaking up what they really need. Because a lot of them, they have high expectations, but they're not very much aware, okay, what do you need? I need him to fix this, I need him to do that. But what do you really need for yourself, you know? And being clear and about your own
longs and needs and wishes.
Needs, yes.
So let me be very masculine now.
Okay.
and
you have the permission.
Thank you. and look forward. It's like, how can we solve it? Like, what is and of course it's a joke, but like, what does a future look like? If we want to bring more balance between the masculine and feminine, if we bring Mars and Venus closer to each other, what's some tips, tricks, offerings that you see?
I think
you mentioned the self-awareness earlier.
Yes,
but how do you grow self-awareness? Like,
well, it's a very good question. I think by really educating self, going and speaking up, attending those self-help courses or reading books. There are a lot of material nowadays really out there, and sharing those stories, allowing those emotions to show up. It's never weakness. It's really power to, as you said, to step into your power and really be present with those emotions, rather than bleed them out on people. I think taking self-care also for men, whether it's physical, mental, emotional. There are, with physical, we know that it's sports, it's the intimate relationships, the right ones, food, with sports, as I mentioned, building muscles, and work on the other elements as well. Having those circles that you're doing. I was really amazed to and very optimistic to say, oh, finally I'm hearing things like that. They need that space to express, to share, to reflect, and then go out there to live more, to be more alive, really, and enjoy life.
To be more whole is how
more whole, complete.
Complete meaning reconnecting heads with body.
Absolutely.
And then, how do you increase your self-awareness? Is becoming aware of what is happening with me, and not only in my head, not only what I'm thinking, but how am I feeling? What's the status of my body?
Absolutely.
Because you can work out, but if you build muscle, but then you don't build muscle in the mental and emotional way.
True.
Then the muscle can only be used to be more aggressive or more dominant, and you get out of balance again.
And really step into this partnership, being in partnership relationship aspect, rather than dominant and like, I'm the one who's controlling, I'm the more powerful, I need to control. If we need to control anything, really, we need to control ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, not control the outside world. The outside world is run beautifully by the creator. Controlling is on self level, and once you do that, you are really powerful. The people who want to control others and be dominant, it's coming from a very weak side of them.
But fear, insecurity.
And insecurity, absolutely.
And the weakness comes from not having built muscle in order to be able to sit with it. Because controlling, I want to come back to that word, because it's this little tweak to it that I want to add. In controlling self. It's being aware of whatever happens. And there's elements that you can control, but for a lot of men, whenever an emotion shows up, what we need to learn, I believe, is just the ability to just sit with the emotion, to just sit on the side of your bed or on the couch or wherever you are and go like, oh, I'm feeling this, and it's okay. I don't have to do anything with it. I can push it away, but we know the consequences, or I can pretend it's not there, but we know the consequences. And by just accepting it and just if you're sad,
acknowledging it, saying,
and but let it go. Don't
Yeah.
attach this.
Yeah.
Don't attach any meaning or any value to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you a better or worse person. It makes you just a human being. And it
Absolutely.
just shows you like, oh, you have emotions. Of course. We all
and
have.
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not scary, but it's
Well,
part of
it can be scary.
it can be scary
Yeah.
for a lot of people who did not learn how to build that skill. And I used to remember one of the mentors used to tell me, or it was an expression really used, like, you need to learn how to stay calm while the lion is roaring. So it's building that internal strength, and sitting and saying, oh, I can feel the tornado.
Yeah.
And I'm acknowledging it, and I can feel my body stiff right now, and
it's just,
and it is there.
Yeah, and that's what I call then building the muscle in dealing with discomfort.
Yes,
It's just staying present with discomfort.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is next to the gym. I believe these are exercises that a lot of men need to do. It's like, okay, you're in discomfort, too cold, too warm, and how can you just stay present with it?
Absolutely.
Without having to immediately solve it or compensate for
absolutely.
it.
And learning, I mean, from the relationship aspect, to build those conversations and know how to manage those conflict protocols by talking about it. Like, how do we want to deal with this relation when things get tough? And be open about it.
Yeah, and it's also about building alliances. And that is why I really love these men circles. Last night one was lovely again, and I attended another one 2 days ago from a guy that works here in Dubai with men and men circles. And it's whenever you bring men together and you remove the judgment out of the room and you remove competition out of the room, which for a lot of men are two main triggers to go into toxicity, it's just amazing. And it was a diverse group of 11 men. And I always say, like, healing happens.
Of course.
And one of the men yesterday, he said, like, this is the first time in my life that I'm in a room with 10 other men and I feel comfortable.
Wow.
And that in itself is it's like,
wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was touched. I'm still touched by it.
Yeah.
That's why I do this work where I go like, oh yeah.
Gino, this is fantastic. Please do more.
And it's just
I
help spreading the word.
I will for sure spread the word with all the men I know in the world.
Thank you.
And I believe that they can do much better. I think they're trying too hard, and I think it's just upgrading the programming that we've carried on for many years. And say, Control Alt Delete. Yeah. We need to update.
And
life is beautiful.
Yeah, life is beautiful. Enjoy. You're part of it. You don't have to do everything by yourself.
Yeah.
But just be.
Just
be.
Like
there's nothing you need to do.
Yeah.
There's nobody's orders you have to follow. Yeah. You're allowed to just allow yourself to play, to learn, to
wow. Good on you. I'm privileged to have this conversation with you, and I'm excited for the potential that I see coming, and it is very, very much needed. And the one thing that I have also to acknowledgement for nowadays is that whenever I go for any aesthetic or skincare clinic, I see a lot of them out there. So there
taking care of themselves,
and I love that because self-care is also very important.
Well, hopefully they're taking care of their outer layers, but I hope that they're also taking care of their inner layers.
Of course, the depth, going deep. Yeah. The fact that they've started from the surface is great, and I'm sure with your work you'll take them deeper. And I think there's much more awareness, much more resources, and
there is. Yeah. A lot of other men that start men circles, and there's retreats, and
there's big permission from our sides.
Well, but I hope, and that is my request to you, is there's still a lot of men out there that need that permission from the feminine to do this, and the feminine knowing, like, I know if I send you there, you will come back in a different way.
Yeah,
you won't be the same anymore, and that's okay.
Yeah, of course, that's okay.
Actually,
you're thriving. Yeah, I think you're on the right path, and keep doing the work.
I
It will have a big impact one day.
I hope so.
Slowly and
Yeah,
steadily, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you for, well, this way of supporting us in
Pleasure.
doing the work.
Yeah, for sure.
And then is there a wish that you would send to us men or the masculine out there?
Yeah, I think men are very much needed in this world. We need this masculine energy. It's an invitation to step into it with all your strength and being. And for the women is also to kind of allow men to do their job and their part. And a request from the men is also to encourage and support women to be in their feminine energy. And this is how we kind of do the balance in the world, because it's very much imbalanced at the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for helping reestablish the balance in your way.
Yeah.
And thank you for the conversation today.
Yeah. Pleasure. All the pleasure is mine as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.